Hey guys, this is another look at ZB starting on the weekly log scale charts. Briefly, the sort of structure I've been working with in this cyclical purple channel coming down has been this one here. You can't see it on the weekly chart, but it starts off with a 1 2 1 2, a big 3, a big triangle into a 4, and then another 3 4, and then a 5 down. And there are a lot of traders, obviously seeing the 3 and the fourth wave triangle is also pretty obvious. But there are a lot of people saying that, just observing everything that came out of the triangle, that this is a 1, this is a 2, this is the 3, and they're still looking for a 4 and a 5. And I'm not really convinced of that because it doesn't account for the 1 2 1 2 up here to sort of get things started. That's what the fact that that's a triangle makes me think that that's obviously a 4, and the fact that this wave traded as a lows to lows extension off the bottom of the 1 makes me think that this is also a 4. And so what that means is that this is not a 1 2. These waves are not at the same degree of trend. And thinking that they were at the same degree of trend is what messed me up back here. I remember making a big deal out of this overlap right there because I thought falling out of this triangle we were working on a 1 2 3 4, and then we got the overlap there. Um, so I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I think that this could be complete. And that's not just some idle Elliott wave interpretation. I mean, I've been tracking this series of channels and this structure as it evolved on the 2 hour chart, and it looks done to me. And if you want to keep things super simple, this 2 hour chart looks like sort of a textbook mother of all inverse head and shoulders at this point. We have this with a neckline coming in around, I don't know, 142-ish. So from 135 to 142, that implies a target up at 149 or 150. I mean, chart patterns alone are never a reason to take a trade, but not only are we building out a potential right shoulder, but this setup, this long from lows that has traded twice already, this did not break. It broke on price, but it traded perfectly on the 30-year yield chart. So, if we go to the yield chart here, here's the high on yield, and this black line is the 50% retracement of the highs to highs extension that's been acting as support. And so the short from highs, drawn from the high here to the lowest point, we came right up to the 618 retracement on, I think that was just Friday, right? Yeah, Friday. And so it looks like price, where's my 1 hour chart? Um, Price broke, or at least it dipped into, you could argue it just dipped in and then retested right here, the 618 line. But it front ran its stealth level, fib support level, by I think 3 ticks here, while yield was trading up into its 618 resistance and completing a target. I'm going to really examine this yield chart in a second. So this, we've seen this before. Here, this was on May 18th. Yield traded up into its stealth fib resistance, short from highs. And sorry, what was that date? That was on May 18th. And when that was happening, that was right here. That was when price was trading into its long from lows again. Right? That was the setup on price that traded perfectly. So it's interesting that here price traded the fib setup and yield traded into its stealth fib resistance zone. And then here price dipped into its traditional support, traded to its stealth support zone, while yield traded its traditional resistance zone. So they flipped. Yield was stealth resistance here, and then while price traded traditional support, and here yield traded traditional resistance while price traded stealth support. So it's just super interesting to observe the inverse setups here. And because this held, sorry, this is not a broken setup. And so, in the previous video, I was talking about how perhaps the price chart looked like a leading diagonal, a 5-wave move up. But looking at the yield chart does not have that structure. It doesn't have a leading diagonal. So if I if you want to view this as a top in yield, then this has to be an impulse wave. And there are different ways to view it, but it could be a simple 1 down, 2 up, 3, 4, 5 with this tiny fourth wave relative to this large wave 2. And I've talked about that before in the ZB tick chart. That's just a characteristic of ZB. ZB tends not to have sort of classic looking impulse waves like you get on ES, where it just goes like that. ZB has these sort of absurd looking first and second waves, and then these tiny little fourth and fifth waves. So this actually works as an impulse if that wants to be a 1 down. And this seems to be some sort of 3-wave structure. I'm really not sure what to do with that in there, but looks roughly like a wave to me. So that would be 3 up, and then this is 3 down. On ZB going up, this is an impulse wave and this is an impulse wave. Clean 5-wave moves. Here we see it again, actually, right? A big first and second wave and then a tiny fourth and fifth wave, just like over here. So that's a ZB characteristic. So this looks like a wave down, a wave up, and then another wave down. So we have 3 up and then 3 down, which means we could be working on a flat correction into a 5-wave move up that could complete a wave 2. 1 down, 3, 3, 5, expanded flat correction. Sorry, I drew that up there. I didn't mean to imply that we're going there. I think it might be complete right here for a wave 2. And so if we just drill into that wave really quick, yeah, let's just do it right here. So there's an impulse wave here, and then the expanded flat correction. Exact same pattern. Another impulse, expanded flat correction. So there's a 1 and a 2, and then another 1 and another 2. And I'm okay with these sort of B wave highs as long as they're soft highs or lows, meaning that the RSI doesn't get overbought or oversold. I see people calling sort of expanded flat B waves where RSI is crazy overbought or oversold, and I just don't think it works. So anyway, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we had a 3 up into here, I think. Actually, I need to be on the chart to show this. And so there's a 3 here, and then the wave 4 for this wave should trade as a highs to highs extension off the top of this 1, which we did. Let's see. I mean, that might be the 3 and the 4 and the 5 right there. And so the next wave 4, this choppy mess, should trade as a highs to highs extension off of this wave 1, the first one. So if we draw that, it came right to the 618 line, and we've gone into that target. And this was an interesting wave. If this is the support, this is an ending diagonal, and ZB loves ending diagonals. You can see a very weird version of this on the ZB chart we'll look at. But from this anchor, first we traded the I have the magnet on, so this is weird, but we traded the stealth support, we traded the traditional support to target, and then we traded that setup to target. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ending diagonal, these overlapping waves going up. And since hitting this last target, we've come off and traded a measured move short, just like price is traded this measured move long. And here is that ending diagonal on the price chart. I mean, this is just the most bizarre algorithmic looking pattern I've ever seen. Um, but ZB loves ending diagonals to finish five wave moves. We've had a few of them in recent history. On the hour chart, this was an, or no, wait, I think it was this was an ending diagonal here for that move. This wave up here was an ending diagonal. And not only does this look like an ending diagonal, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this overlap, but on the tick chart within this fifth wave, this is an ending diagonal. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These overlapping waves down with this really nice bullish divergence on the 400 tick chart. Sort of like the purpose of the ending diagonal seems to be a shakeout, a final shakeout before the reversal. So, reasons to be bullish right now. Yield traded up into its resistance. This is a complete five wave move, which means this could be a complete 335 wave 2 correction. And we have an inverse head and shoulders on the 2-hour chart. And also this week we have another auction. I think it's on Thursday. Yeah, and in the last two auctions, they've rallied up in the overnight or the pre-market, grinded sideways, and then sold off after. So if that pattern repeats, that's another reason to expect a move up this week. It's interesting. I read that the auction still hasn't hit 3%. It's topped out at 2.99 something. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but getting to under 3% on yield would put us basically back down to the highs to highs extension, this support level. So if this is an expanded flat correction, it actually causes me to look at the ZB price chart differently. And so maybe this isn't a leading diagonal. I was looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be, but it could also be this is just a 1 up right here. And then this is an A down. This is a B up. I don't like how it got overbought there, and then this could be a C wave down. It looks like five waves on the hourly chart, but if you get into the tick chart, it's kind of a mess. But it could just be five waves down. So this could be the top of wave 1. This could be a wave 2. And I keep expecting the wave 3 to launch. But nothing says that a corrective wave can't just grow increasingly complex. So, I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. But it seems like if, after this ending diagonal and on the tick chart, the ending diagonal within the ending diagonal, we need to break out of this falling wedge, step number 1. Step number 2, break out of this channel. And we need to see a clean we need to see something that looks like five waves that could be an impulse wave taking us up out of this potential support zone here. Is that everything I wanted to say? Yeah, this yield chart continues to be a revelation. Dang it, I don't have time. I wanted to show briefly on the 2-hour chart, on the yield chart. This highs to highs extension that traded the first time here, there's an equivalent extension that has been trading on the price chart, but I don't have time to get into it. Is everything I want to talk about? Yeah, and sort of triangulating, the ZB, the UB, and the yield chart. UB has sort of the same look as yield, where we had a wave 1 up, and this could be an ABC expanded flat wave 2 correction. So, it seems like a wave 3 coming out of an inverse head and shoulders. It's a possible scenario. All right, that's all I have time for. Thanks, guys.